take you on a journey, right? And as I take you on this journey, you're probably going to realize that, wow, this is actually sort of like my journey, right? But it's not. It's someone else's, but it's going to seem like it's yours. And so this morning, picture just me and you, right? I'm sitting in a chair right in front of you. I mean, I am right in front of you, but hundreds of me's in front of me, okay? And I'm sitting with you one-on-one, and I were to ask you this question. I would say, hey, can you tell me about your life? And if I know you well enough, you will probably go back to the very beginning of when you were little. Right? You would tell me stories of all kinds of things that you experienced growing up, some good things, some challenging things, some hardships and tragedies. You would give me the whole thing. Right? But you would go back to the very beginning. And for some of you, this journey seems longer. For others, it seems shorter, depending on where you are now in your journey of life. And for some of us, we remember certain avenues that this journey took us through. And some of us remember some of them are good and some of them are bad. And ultimately, they shape us up to who we are today. Right? And so we've all experienced many positive things, but also many challenging things. Okay? So let me give you like the quick scope of life. Okay, so let me take you back to the childhood phase. Right? This is like from, I would say, age 1 to like 11. Okay? You're working your way up through. Okay, one of the positive things that I remember about being a child is that I didn't have to do anything. Right? My parents did it all for me. Right? They took care of me. They did it all. But that's one of the challenges that come with being a child is that sometimes when you want to do something and you think you can do it, you can't do it. Because you're either not aware that you can do that or you're just not capable yet. And then you get to the teenage years, right? Where a lot of us in here, not me though, but a lot of us in here, where we're at. Okay, one of the positive things that I see about being a teenager is that you are becoming your own person. You're becoming, you're creating your own worldview. You're creating your own opinions and your own ideas, and you're expressing them, and it's shaping who you are right now. But one of the challenges that you face with being a teenager is that monstrous phase of puberty, right? Where you start to have these smells you've never had before, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, that's me? And you go to school, yeah, some of us are going through and struggling with that, right? It's a tough phase, right? But if you survive this monstrous phase of puberty, you get to your young adult years, right? Things get much better. There's hope beyond what you're experiencing, okay? What that is that you kind of get to figure out your major life decisions, right? Seniors are starting to get there, where you're starting to think about your career. You're starting to think about, seniors a little bit down the road, but marriage, future kids, what you want to do with your life ultimately, right? But one of the challenges that I'm even experiencing now is, man, when I get out in the world now, my parents aren't there to help me through some situations. I got to learn how to adult. I got to learn how to be independent without having my mom and dad or any other parental figure there helping me through every single situation. And sometimes that's hard. That's hard because these are things I've never had to do before. And some of us who are middle-aged now is the next section, right? Some of the positive things that you could look forward to is grandkids, right? At least that's one that I would look forward to if I was middle-aged, right? Your kids are having kids, right? But one of the challenges that come with that is that you're starting to notice your body's not able to do what it once could, right? You're starting to develop a little more health problems as you get older. And then we get to the elderly stage after that. One of the positive things that I'm already looking forward to is retirement and the discounts at restaurants for the senior discounts at like IHOP. Okay? And one of the challenges though with being elderly is that you're becoming extremely dependent once again. And your body is ultimately failing. Okay? And so as we journey through life, we experience these different stages, and if we get the chance to live long enough, it's funny how we end up coming back to where we started. Right? We started completely dependent. My parents, they would feed me, bathe me, change my diapers, dress me, take me places, teach me, pay for everything. I didn't have to do anything when I was little. But by the end of our lives, I think we may try and fight against dependency, right? I had a friend who opened a door for an elderly woman one time, and she let him have it. Because she didn't want that. She wanted to do it, right? But my friend was trying to help her out, and so now I'm hesitant to help older people in because I'm afraid of how they're going to react. Not really, but sometimes I never thought that was a concern I would have. But the theme of going back to the beginning, okay? So think back life. You start dependent, you end dependent. But this theme in Scripture is very prominent. From cover to cover, you see that. At the beginning, you see a perfect creation. God created it. And by the very end of the book, creation is again perfected and it's redeemed. But in the middle of all that, it gets very messy, as we know. But think about look at it at a smaller scope. From cover to cover, you have this idea of it all coming back around, and it's a journey, right? And then you have, just take a look at the book of Genesis. The very first verse, it starts with perfection in life, and the very last verse of that book ends in death. How did we get there? It's a journey that gets really messy, right? Some of us, we're on a journey similar where it's just messy, right? But there is hope at the end of this journey. And each book contained in these Bibles has a journey. You have the patriarchs, you have the Exodus, you have the prophets, you have the judges and the kings, you have the ministry of Jesus, you have the birth of the church. And there's so many different stories to choose from, but this morning I want to look at one of my favorite stories, and that's Joseph in Genesis. Joseph, it's such a great story. So much is in there. And I want to spend time looking at the prosperity and journey of Joseph. But I want you to know that it doesn't come easy. And just like in our lives and our own journeys, we go through life and we're going to experience challenges almost daily. And if you haven't experienced one yet, you're hiding under a rock. Okay? But know this. Once this gets going, my slides will work. I have a quote that I want you to remember. I don't know if it's good. There it is. Sometimes the journey of life is filled with unfortunate events or enemies that try to slow us down, but God is working in the background, empowering and strengthening you through our challenges. And so, the story of Joseph is great in that it assures us that this quote is true. And it shows us that it shows us where our trust needs to be. And so one big point I want to hit on is that Joseph's journey is no different than yours. Right? We're going to cover someone else's journey, but I want you to see your own journey in the midst of Joseph's. He's going to face 4 challenges this morning. I want to look at them. And as we go through these challenges, I invite you to look deeper than what we're just reading. I want you to look at where is God? Okay? Where is God as I read this? Where is he? What is he doing? Okay? And I want you to see, where am I? Who am I in this story? Who am I like? What am I doing? Okay? So the first challenge that I want to look at, we can go to the next one. I don't think this clicker is working very well. Okay. Joseph faced the challenge of betrayal. What challenge? Betrayal. Oh my goodness. One more time. Joseph faced the challenge of betrayal. Right? In our story, Israel, who is Jacob, he's Joseph's father. He's introduced. And Joseph is about 17 years old when Scripture introduces him. He's got 11 brothers. He's the youngest at this time. And his brothers, they go out to the field and they work all day as any young man would do. And Joseph is more privileged. Right? He kind of gets to stay home with dad and play video games all day, as the others get to go out and work hard all day. Right? So the brothers, over time, they start to get jealous. Why is he the favored one when we have to go out and work all day? We're bringing in the food, we're bringing in everything, and he's just contributing to sitting on the couch playing video games? Well, that's not cool. He should be out in the field with us. Right? And Joseph, you guys remember the dream that he had? He had 2 dreams, and one in particular, he says, hey guys, yeah, the sun, moon, and the stars, they were bowing down to me. Oh, the brothers were so angry. They were frustrated with Joseph. What? You're the little one. You do nothing. What? You really expect us to bow down to you? To worship you? I don't think so, Joseph. You got it all wrong. And hatred and jealousy began to rage because his father was so intrigued with Joseph's dreams and what Joseph did. And his brothers are sitting there going, Dad, what is so great about this guy? He does nothing. And the anger and jealousy began to rage. So I want to pick up in the story here. This clicker is not working. Can we go to the next slide? There we go. So this is where we are, okay? So Jacob said to Joseph, go and see if all is well with your brothers and with the flocks. Bring word back to me. Then he sent him off from the valley of Hebron. When Joseph arrived at Shechem, a man found him wandering around in the fields, and he asked him, Joseph, what are you looking for? He replied, I'm looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are grazing their flocks? And they replied, they've moved on from here. I heard them say, let's go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers, and he found them near Dothan, but they saw him in the distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. They're so angry with Joseph. Let's kill him. Let's just get rid of him. Here comes that dreamer, they said to each other. Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns and say that a ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dreams. When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Guys, let's not take his life. Don't shed any blood. Let's throw him into the cistern in the wilderness, but don't lay a hand on him. And so Reuben said this to rescue him from them and to take him back to his father. And so when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the ornate robe he was wearing, and they took him and they threw him into the cistern. You see, Joseph, as many of you know, Joseph is known as the man who received the coat of many colors. Right? That's what we're always taught. Right? And this is just another excuse for the brothers to become angry and jealous at Joseph. Why did he get that? Why didn't I get that? I'm the oldest. I worked the hardest. I put in the most work. Why does Joseph get the reward? And again, the jealousy is just through the roof at this point. And so the brothers, they throw him into this cistern, and they excommunicate him from their family. But you see, the brothers, they don't just leave him in the cistern. Right? We got to do more. That's what the brothers like. We got to do more than just throw him in there. Let's sell him. Let's sell him into slavery. And so this Midian merchant who's traveling comes by, and the brothers see him, and they're like, hey, you want our brother? He's a good worker. He'll do a lot for you. And he says, sure. So they exchange him for some silver, and Joseph is now gone. And he's going into Egypt. So this young man, Joseph, who was spoiled by his loving father, was betrayed and sold by his own brothers. Betrayal. Oh, doesn't it hurt? Doesn't betrayal hurt? When you're betrayed, does that not hurt? Betrayal has the capability of wrecking our character. Because we feel this fiery passion to get back at that person who betrayed us. Oh, I'm going to get them back. They deserve it. Revenge, because you betrayed me. We might feel alone, angry, or depressed, or lied to when this happens. You know, it's those types of people that you tell your struggles and your deepest secrets to, and trusting them not to tell anybody. I won't tell anybody who's telling me secrets. And as soon as you tell them, they see that, like, as soon as they turn around, there's that person. Hey, come hear about this person. Guess what they're struggling with? And they laugh about it because of what you're struggling with, because of what secrets you have. It's those types of people that you expect them to be by you all the time through the hardships, to stand by you, and in the moment when you need them most, they're your opponent. Betrayal. It hurts so much, and this is what Joseph is dealing with. And you know, David, he sums up this feeling, King David, who was so expressive with his emotions. He sums up the feeling of betrayal in Psalm 55. David, he's betrayed by his own son, Absalom. And in this psalm, David expresses betrayal, and you can imagine how Joseph feels in the story. It says this. This is David speaking to Absalom. My heart is in anguish within me. The terrors of death assail me. Fear and trembling have beset me. Horror has overwhelmed me. I said, oh, that I had the wings of a dove. I would fly away and be at rest. I would flee far away and stay in the desert. I would hurry to my place of shelter, far from the tempest and storm. If an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. And if a foe were raising himself against me, I could hide from him. But it is you, Absalom, a man like myself, my companion, my close friend, with whom I once enjoyed sweet fellowship as we walked with the throng at the house of God. So you can imagine, how does Joseph feel at this point in the story? He feels this way. You betrayed me, my own brothers. I could get through anything in life, but betrayal from my own flesh and blood, I don't know if I can endure this. I don't know if I can move on from this. And so David felt as Joseph did, confused, angry, hurt, depressed, betrayed. And again, I ask you, how is God working here? In this moment, how is God working? How can Joseph's favoritism be deserving of betrayal and slavery from his own brothers? Surely Joseph must be dealt justice. But this is where we run into the second challenge. Joseph faced the challenge of injustice. Wait a minute. Can you go to the challenge? There you go. Face the challenge of what? Injustice. He was just betrayed. Surely something good must happen to Joseph. Nope. He's dealt something else. Another challenge, another problem. Joseph, he's now in Egypt, and he finds the owner that he's going to work for. His name is Potiphar, as most of you know. Right? He makes it to the house, and Potiphar is a big fan. Joseph is a hard worker. And Potiphar recognizes this. And so he promotes Joseph to a higher position to serve in his household. Greater responsibilities. And in this moment, Joseph, he's kind of healing from this betrayal. He's moving back up. in his emotions. He's working past this problem. Potiphar trusted Joseph in his work and integrity, and Joseph is becoming his own. And the story continues. It says, now Joseph was well built and handsome. Ladies, you might have wanted him. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph, and she said, come to bed with me, but he refused. With me in charge, my master does not concern himself with anything in this house. Everything he owns, he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. So let me stop real quick and help notice. Look at the maturity Joseph has. His master's wife tries to seduce him, but this spoiled brat, as we saw earlier in the story, is no longer a little child, but he's a mature man. And I know that because the woman, she tries again. She doesn't just try once, she tries a second time. One day he went into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the household servants were inside. She caught him by the cloak and said, come to bed with me, but he left his cloak in her hand and ran out. Right? Joseph literally ran so fast